how to be a good ServiceNow dev. So we have, I personally feel like I have met quite a lot, many good devs, but something was missing and they were not very sought after ServiceNow devs. So I thought, okay, let's go after this. And now that Rise Up is going on, and so many of us are joining ServiceNow, there are so many newbies. So I felt that it's good to have this kind of session where I could bridge the gaps which I have seen in my experience, and then can help the newbies out. Yeah. So I have total 8 years of experience in ServiceNow, and for 4+ years I have been leading ServiceNow development teams. I am a SDM and senior TC in Glide First Consulting. Yeah, and why this particular session? Like I said, this is to bridge the gap, because for technical stuff I feel there is so much documentation floating around. Everybody can go on Google, learn JavaScript, uh, check ServiceNow product documentation, go to community, get the best help out there. However, a few there are a few who are still missing the essence of it. So I thought, okay, let's bring this session up. So I am going to the next. Okay, let me know. Okay, now the next slide is up. Okay, so very first slide, traits of a good ServiceNow dev: strives to know the context. So it's okay. For this session, it goes without saying that you have to be an expert in JavaScript. You should know how to code, because that's how you will become a great developer. Yeah, but it covers the rest of the things which are needed apart from coding skills. So the very first one, strives to know the context. If you're someone who just does whatever is written in the story, then no. You must strive to know the context, why it's being done, who are we building it for, and who are the persona it will be impacting. So that's what is needed for somebody to be a good service now dev. Somebody asking questions then looks for the bigger picture. So okay, if you're a developer in any team, let's assume you get a story. So if you or let's say in a sprint you are getting two stories to work on, then there is a next story. All the stories are divided among the developers. If you are just looking at your two stories and not looking at the bigger picture, what your two stories are going to be doing for the customers, for the clients, for the end users, then no, you are not a good ServiceNow developer. Look for the bigger picture, because Rome was not built in a day. Yeah. So the similarly, any feature, any application, anything will not be done within one story. There will be multiple stories. So know what are we building for, where are you currently, which stage you are on, and then try to develop things. And yeah, like Jeff Jesse just said in the chat, always ask questions. So of course, yeah, that's main thing. Yeah. And the third one, ask why at each step. So yes, why, please do ask why, and never feel that your team lead, your architect, your PM, PO, anybody will hate you for asking questions. I haven't met anybody so far who has hated questions. No, that's how you learn, that's how we learn. And I also mentioned it earlier on LinkedIn, that developers are the last link of the chain. Whatever you develop is your legacy, it's your update set. So please be very careful, be very attached to your work, care to know. Okay, so these are the traits of a good ServiceNow dev, and we will be expanding on it. And yeah, like I have mentioned here, anybody can code the requirement, anybody can be a developer, but it takes something to be a good developer, to be a sought after one. Yeah. So the essence is knowing why, essence is asking why. Yeah. Moving on to the next slide. So these are the two key principles that I swear by. And if I have to coach a junior today, these are the two key principles I'll be handing over to them. So the very first one is know your platform. Second is know your requirement. as well as the industry, process, and the end user it is related to. So the very first one, of course, we are ServiceNow. We are looking to be a good ServiceNow developer. So we have to know the platform. How can you know the platform? Again, documentation, community. So there are so many uh, peers and mentors who are posting on LinkedIn, maybe LinkedIn, or maybe you already have a good team lead or architect who you look up to. Learn from everyone, learn everywhere. Blog post, you must know what is available out of the box. You cannot go without that. Okay. Second thing is, know your requirement as well as the industry, process, and end user it is related to. So now this is the main essence here, knowing your requirement. So again, just don't code because there is a story which has been handed over to you, and maybe the architect has kindly pointed out what you even need to code or do there. Maybe he has even given the steps that, okay, go create this business rule, do this. No, please, again, like I said, it is your legacy, your update set, your work. Look at what is the requirement, then see how best you can do it. You, and again, goes without saying that somebody who strives to be a good dev must know the best practices, must stay updated. So, and why it is important to understand your requirement well is because what if the requirement or the story was written 2 years ago? Maybe it was pulled from a backlog. It's not even recent. Maybe somebody who wrote it as per the release which ServiceNow was on 2 years ago. So will you be going ahead and just implementing that basis that information while ServiceNow has already moved 2 years ahead? So whatever you see is not whatever you should do. You are the, again, it's your legacy. Please understand it, ask questions, stay updated, and discuss with your architect, team leads, and then do the best possible solution. Uh, I'll be moving to the next slide. Okay, now know the platform. So now how can you know the platform? Like I said, community, documentation, everything goes without saying. Now earn primary skills. If you're new, if you're someone new, maybe you just came out of Rise Up program or still trying to get your footing in service now, then start with earning primary skills. For example, CIS certifications, CIS ITSM, CIS CSM, or can be anything. If you already have a job, you know which area your customer is working on, then maybe please go for that area. Yeah. Then earn secondary skills. Gone are the time when you just have CIS ITSM or CSM and you're good to go. No. Now, uh, there are so many secondary skills out there. I call them secondary skills. Well, ServiceNow doesn't call them secondary skills, but given I call them secondary skills, so I brought it up to differentiate them. For example, UI Builder, Virtual Agent, Workspaces, everything that latches onto the primary skill is what I meant by secondary here. For example, you can use Virtual Agent in HRSD. You can use virtual agent maybe in some use case in ITSM. Again, workspaces, you can use workspace in ITSM. You can use workspace in CSM, depends on the use case. So those are secondary skills. Understand how secondary skills work in relation to primary, and then build your skill set accordingly. Let me move on to the next slide. Now, again, understanding the requirement, industry, process, and the end user, very underrated skill or not much talked about because now everybody is talking about AI, but we, analytical and critical thinking is still valuable. Please have that as a developer. That's your weapon. Okay. Ask why, because what if no one else did? Like I mentioned, maybe the POPM who worked on the requirement resigned, and this particular story or the requirement was in backlog for way too long. Maybe the architect was too busy to oversee everything, was overwhelmed. Then come into the picture, leverage your skills. That's, I feel like, that's the place, that's your chance to outshine in the team. That's how you can be a good reliable service now dev, because whatever comes to you, you just don't implement it, you understand it, you ensure that you don't uh, give your client the tech debt. You understand what you're building, why you're building, and you're connecting the dots. And only if you know the platform already, only if you know what is available out of the box, then only you will be able to differentiate between customization and configuration, which is a very hot topic in ServiceNow across the years. Like I said, you should just not directly get into the coding bandwagon and code anything and everything. No, please understand what ServiceNow is coming up with. Maybe, not maybe, but always stay one release ahead. Whatever is coming up next, be aware of that, because what if your customer is exactly asking what is just coming in the next release? How will you know? You might end up coding that. Please don't, because tell them, let's just wait for 1 month. ServiceNow is already coming up with that, it's already there. So again, you will only know if you approach things with this mindset. If you just be a regular developer, okay, I am there, I just have to code, my architect, PM, PO, everybody is already there, they are providing me stories, my work is just get the story done. No, you are not a good ServiceNow developer. To be one, be involved, own it as if it's your own thing, it's your legacy, like I said. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide. Now, there are a few scenarios. I thought if somebody new again from Riser program or somebody newbie is joining, I felt like these two scenarios are good to incorporate so that I can show them, okay, how a regular dev will approach these scenarios versus how a good dev will. So, okay, first example. Let's say there's a story or came from anywhere, it's being discussed or it's already on your plate. Let's say a story came up, create a business rule to replicate changes done to a CI to an asset. Let's say now you are a newbie, you don't know anything, and let's say you were already assume you were already aware that your organization is going to implement ham and sam very soon, let's say. Okay, now with that knowledge, how will you approach this story? A regular dev might just go and directly write a business rule. He will be like, okay, this is so easy, whatever changes get done to a CI, let me just write a business rule, copy to change that directly to an asset, very easy to do. Okay, but how will responsible good dev will do it? Given he knows that Ham and Sam is already in the roadmap, almost going to be implemented in 1 month, and even if not implemented, he will point it to them that this particular functionality is already available out of the box. Have you explored Ham? Have you explored Sam? What fits best for you? So those kind of conversations are important, and that's what brings your credibility in the team, and that's how you become a good dev. uh, okay, we are already at time, so I won't be going with the second example. I hope this gives you an idea on how to approach things. Don't just approach everything with coding, that okay, I can code everything so I'm a good developer. No, please understand service now, please question why, please be involved, please own your code, and never ever be a reason for leaving tech debt in your instance. No, your client will thank you for that. Always be a responsible good developer. Thanks everyone. I didn't get a chance to look at the chat Q&A. I'll probably look after, now that this is over. So I'll look over that. And if I'll have access to this chat, I'll for sure respond to your queries. And please reach out to me if you have anything. And thank you so much, Chuck, for joining.